Hey, friends. Welcome back to the Burn Stress Lose Weight podcast. I am back after what feels like forever for me, but hopefully does not feel like forever for you with this podcast episode, which is going to talk about how September is the new January. I'm going to get into the reset, the activation energy that I think, especially if you are a professional working mom, maybe you are feeling inspired by. The fall is when our children go back to school. It is the changing of seasons from summer into fall. There is something about a change of season. And for me personally, when my kids go back to school, that I absolutely love and adore having a reset process built into the structure of my life. I'm going to talk to you about how to do that, when and why and where, and how you might want to have a reset process built into your life for any goals that you have on or off the scale, and some of the sticking points, some of the obstacles that maybe you have had in the past, and how to not make some of the mistakes that I have made in the past when I have done a personal quote unquote reset. Before we get into the entire episode of how September is the new January, I want to share with you why it feels like it has been forever. As you can tell, we are right now in my family room if you're watching this on video, and I've just still been loving these chit chatty style podcast episodes where I just pick a corner of my house that I'm feeling creative and inspired in, and coming and sharing either a real story, a real epic fail, or strategy on how to help you feel better, lose the weight you want, achieve your next goal, achieve your next dream without feeling like you have to put yourself through the ringer to get there. The reason that it has felt like forever since I have been coming to you is because if you remember from last week and the week before's podcast episode, I went on a podcast recording marathon. This was back in July. I knew that I had a really, really busy August with some work travel, with some family travel. Both of my children's birthdays, they turned 10 and 7 this year, which is just crazy that my son is now in the double digits. I'm having lots of thoughts about it. I'm going to share all that with you. But I knew that I was going to have a very busy August with travel, and I really wanted to spend time with my family in a way where I felt truly present. I know you all can maybe speak to this as well. Sometimes you can be on vacation or, on the proverbial massage table, but you're not really relaxed. You're not really present. You're thinking about your email inbox. You're thinking about all the things that you left undone, all the things that you're going to come back to, right? Like the Sunday scaries. And I knew that I really wanted August to be a time that I enjoyed with my family, that I was present, that I gave myself the opportunity to rest and recover from a year that has felt like a whirlwind. And to do that, I went on a podcast recording marathon with my plane ticket to Paris philosophy. If you missed the last few episodes, I would actually pause this episode and go back and listen to the plane ticket to Paris podcast episode where I talked about how I did way more than doubled and tripled my productivity. I felt better as I did my work. So I'm not going to rehash that entire philosophy here, but I really want to bring that with me as I move forward. It's going to be part of today's reset episode on how you can be more productive, get more done, and feel better at the same time. I talk about all of that in that plane ticket to Paris podcast episode. So go back and listen to that. But because I did and got so much done in July, I was really able to take August off in a way that I have been wanting to do for a very, very long time. And I just have not been able to do it. I felt like I didn't have to put out fires the way that I feel like I historically have. And I'm just so grateful and so proud of doing this work, of sharing it with all of you, because I can only share with you how impactful it was for me to mentally and emotionally and physically be very present with my family. There have been so many times where I will be on vacation or I'm playing with my kids. Like my daughter she'll just straight up call me out. She's like, "What are you thinking about right now? Why are you looking so serious? Why are your eyebrows furrowed?" Because apparently when I'm thinking, I furrow my brows. And so she can tell, even if we're playing a game of Uno or Sleeping Queens, she can tell that I'm not present because I'm thinking about other things. And I decided many, many months ago that I wanted to experience her more. I wanted to experience both of my kids. I want to experience this life that we have been working so hard for. I want to experience it. I don't want to just go through the motions. I don't want to just keep checking off to-dos and tasks and work responsibilities and let my life pass me by. That was a big realization that I had this past year, that I wanted to be a lot more intentional. And part of it is for me and has been learning how to set very firm boundaries with when I'm working and when I'm resting. Hence the whole plane ticket to Paris analogy. It was wonderful. But because of that, I have actually not recorded a podcast episode in a month, which is why for me, coming back on today, recording this episode for you feels like it's been a long time. And I just feel like I have so much to share. So much happened in August and so much is coming down the pipe for Burn, Stress, Lose Weight. I have so many fun things coming up to share with all of you that I cannot wait to share with all of you. And August was a big piece of that. I flew to Chicago where I actually had a photo shoot. If you follow me on Instagram, I'm at Burn, Stress, Lose Weight. You get a lot of behind the scenes for what happens behind the scenes in my podcast and in the business and in my life as just a busy working mom. And that was quite an experience for me going to Chicago and having a photo shoot. It's been a journey. If you've been following me for any period of time, you know that you have likely heard me say that I hate photos. I hate a big production. I don't love shopping. I don't love the entire thing. That's how I have always historically thought about shopping and photo shoots and all of that stuff. And I think it's a very long story that I've had since I was a very little kid. I've never loved to shop. I've never loved taking photos of myself. I've always felt historically very self-conscious about how I looked and my body. That was, I think, a big part of my story for many years. I always felt a little awkward. I felt a little bit shy. I think I probably also had thoughts around what other people thought about me. And that very subconsciously and very subtly influenced how I felt about photos and shopping and things like that. However, I did decide when I embarked on the journey to have a photo shoot, and we're going to be doing a whole entire rebrand, which is so exciting. I cannot wait to reveal that to you. It's coming soon. When we decided to do that, I also decided very intentionally to let go of the story that I hate shopping, that I hate buying clothes for myself. I decided to let go of the story that I hate taking photos and that I hate any element of the process. And I want to share with you why that's so important and how that's relevant for today's episode. I realized that if I had the inner monologue, if I had the story that I hate shopping and I hate photo shoots, but I want the result of having an amazing photo shoot, I was making not only the process so much harder for myself, I was likely not going to create a result that I loved. The analogy with weight loss, and I've shared this with all of you before, but it's very, very relevant for September is the new January as a reset. If you have had any thoughts around hating your body goal, hating weight loss, hating how you're eating, I have to, I should, I'm supposed to, I need to, you're not going to hit your goal. Or you might make some progress, but you will very quickly undo it. And I say this because I don't think that we are designed to perpetually do things that we hate doing for a lifetime. I think we can do that for short periods of time. Like I could get through medical school because it was 4 years, and I could get through OBGYN residency because it was 4 years. But if I knew that I was going to hate my work for a lifetime, why would I ever choose that? I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that we make. This is a mindset and a strategic gap that a lot of women have before they come to work with me. They have a strategy that they literally hate. If you're counting every point and every calorie that you're eating, if you're telling yourself that you're not allowed to eat your favorite thing, you have to portion out how you're eating, it's a pretty toxic way, right, to think about your weight loss journey. And you might be able to hold on to it for a short period of time, but it just won't last. So I share the story of the photo shoot because I decided that I was going to stop telling myself the story that I hate shopping. I'm going to stop telling myself the story that I hate photos. And instead, I'm going to, on purpose, tell myself, maybe this could be fun. Maybe this could be simple. Maybe I actually might discover something about myself that I didn't exactly know. Now, I went into Nordstrom. That was the very first department store that I walked into because I had to buy clothes for this photo shoot. Because again, since I don't love shopping, I don't actually own very many clothes. I don't own, like you should see my closet is like at bare bones minimum. And I had to shop for things, shop for clothes. And I remember walking in with this idea that this might be fun. What if this was fun? And just that changing my thoughts from I hate this and I hate shopping and this is such a drag and blah, 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 to this might be fun, completely transformed my entire experience. Now, I'll be honest, there were some parts of the shopping experience that I didn't love. When I felt confused in the department store, when I didn't know which section to go to, and I was trying to find what size clothing and what outfit exactly and what color I should get, there were some moments that I felt confused and frustrated and overwhelmed. However, because I came into the experience with this might be fun. What if it was simple? What if I could figure this out? I actually overcame a lot of those obstacles a lot more easily. And I'm going to take it a step further. Not only was the shopping experience a little bit more fun than I realized, I let myself actually make bolder choices than I would have in the past. I let myself choose things that I may not have done before. I let myself wander into the land of, daring for me that I wouldn't have done before. And it was all because I came in with the mindset and the thought, what if this was fun? How could we make this a little bit more fun than maybe what I've done in the past? And just that actually translated when I went to Chicago and I went through the entire photo shoot experience. I actually had a really, really great time. So I wanted to share that story because the mindset that we have about our goal, you can pick your goal, you can plug and play your goal into this podcast episode. It could be a weight loss goal, it could be a body recomposition goal, it could be a fitness goal, it could be a professional goal. When you have thoughts about your goal and the strategy you're using to get there, you have to really become aware of what your story has been. If it's been any flavor of, I have to, I'm supposed to, I need to, this is terrible, I hate this, I really want you to think about what that shows as in your actions. You all know we talk about the think, feel, act cycle all the time on this podcast. When you have the thought, I hate this. This is terrible. This sucks. This is so hard. I hate every part of this process. How do you feel? I know for me with shopping, I felt dread. I felt overwhelmed. I felt like I wanted to avoid it at all costs, which is how it would show up. My action line would be avoidant behavior. I would never shop. I would find every excuse to push it off. I would procrastinate. I would hide from the entire thing. I would do the bare minimum. That's the other thing. I would do the absolute bare minimum when I had the thought, I hate shopping. I would pick the bare minimum thing. But because I changed my thoughts to actually, this might be fun. I wonder how I could make it fun. Maybe this is going to be simple. I started to feel a little bit more emboldened. I started to feel more empowered in the journey. I started to feel the feeling of fun in my body. And guess what? My actions, I took bolder action. I made bolder decisions. I chose colors that were bigger and bolder for me. And because I took bolder and bigger action from that thought, from those thoughts and from that feeling of this could be fun, this might be simple, this could be like, seriously, this could be the next level for me, I could see my entire experience of the whole process was completely different. And I think that that's essential when we're talking about a reset, because we're talking about a reset episode. I want to start with mindset first. If you could reflect back on the last 90 days, the last 6 months, the last 1 year, what has been your thoughts about your goal and your thoughts about your strategy? So this is really important. I encourage you, if you want to pause the episode here and just reflect on this, you can reflect on this in your mind. You can reflect on this in writing. I really encourage that you write down your answers to this question. What have been your thoughts about your goal? What have been your thoughts about your strategy? And take it to the next step. If your thoughts have been at all, this is hard, I don't know if I can, this is terrible, I hate this. How did those thoughts about your goal and your strategy make you feel? What was the emotion? Do you feel dread? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel impatient, annoyed? What is the feeling that you have? And when you feel that way, what do you do next? This is important. Before we can talk about creating your reset strategy, we have to find what was in the way for you in the last 90 days or 6 months that got in the way of you guaranteeing success for yourself. It is almost always going to have some piece of mindset and some piece of strategy that was creating your gaps. So the very first piece is to really identify what got in your way in the last 6 months, in the last 90 days. If you're like me and you had a really full and very, very busy summer, I don't know about you all, but my summers are busier than the school year. I have less childcare over the summer. We have more random days off. We have a lot more travel. Our weekends were full every single weekend. We had swim meets and it was just packed, fully packed. So was a full schedule something that got in your way this summer? And if that was the case, if a very full schedule full of travel and busy camp schedules and kid schedules or lack of childcare, if that got in the way, I want you to actually imagine what decisions, actual strategic decisions, were missing for you that could have supported your success over even the busiest season of the year for you? I've realized now, whenever I find any massive gap for me, whenever I find that I missed the mark on something, whenever I have failed at a goal for myself, the reason for me failing at the goal was never a lack of personal discipline. It was never a lack of capability. It was never a lack of smarts. The thing that really gets in my way, and I'm guessing it might be true for you as well, is I did not make decisive decisions that would actually move the needle forward. I might have made, let's see how it goes decisions. Let's see, wing it decisions. Like, we'll see how we feel before we actually take action decisions. Let's see what mood I'm in. We let our mood of the moment drive how we show up rather than really thinking about in advance with conviction. What goals matter for me? What strategy would guarantee me success in a way that I love? And what would it take for me to practice taking action on those decisions? This brings me to the reset portion of this podcast. I think it is really, really important that we all have an opportunity to have a reset a few times per year. Now, the reason that I think a reset is so important is because we really want to build into our calendar an opportunity to evaluate, just like we did at the beginning part of this episode. We have to evaluate what has been working well and what has been getting in my way. What's working well, what's not working well. If we just try to rinse and repeat, you just, try to refresh a plan, like I'm going to get 8 hours of sleep and I'm going to drink lots of water and I'm going to eat protein and vegetables and fiber, and you just try to plan without doing an assessment on what worked and what didn't, you're going to often make the same mistakes again and again and again. I see overachievers doing this all the time because we love planning. Planning feels very, very productive, and it is. However, we have to plan with information. We have to plan with wisdom. We have to really identify what got in my way for me executing this plan the last time. And if we don't solve that gap, we're going to recreate a lot of our results. So when it comes to a reset, I really think that having a cadence to how often you have a reset is really nice. It's really important. I personally have found for me that once every quarter at the beginning of a season, there's usually a natural transition in our family life. So for example, my kids just started school today. Today was their very first day of school, and it feels like a very natural reset. We're transitioning from our summer schedule, which was kind of chaotic. I had very little childcare. We had a lot more travel, and we're transitioning into a season where we're going to have a lot more structure. We have sports after school. We have after school activities. Our weekends are going to look very different. Travel is going to look very different. So for me, having a reset, having an opportunity to assess what changes I might want to make, what decisions I might want to lean into is really nice to do when I'm transitioning seasons. Just like that, especially between summer and fall is one of the biggest ones for me. I think another one is from fall into the new year. I think the new year is another really important time that a lot of us are thinking about goals for the next year. A lot of us are thinking about the new year and our new strategies that we might want to employ. So for me, I think one thing that's really important when you think about a reset is for it to not be random. I like every quarter at the change of the season, but maybe for you, you want to have a reset a little bit more often. Maybe you do yours once every month or once every week, if that's something that's very important for you. The reason that I like to space out my resets is because I don't want any of us here, any of you listening to this podcast, to get into the habit of needing resets all the time. If you find yourself needing a reset or a refresh, like a fresh start, you're like wanting a fresh start all the time, we really want to do the work of finding where your mindset or your strategic gaps have been. So I think that that's the important piece, to really check in with yourself. How often do you want to properly assess the last season? And for you, season might be, again, it might be a month-long time period. How often do you want to sit down with yourself and really assess how the season went for you? How did the month go for you? This is not a frivolous, lighthearted exercise. It's deeper work. It's really looking at what were the things that worked really well for me in the last season. What were the things that did not work well? I'm calling this deeper work because taking radical responsibility and ownership for what didn't work, what got in your way, why you didn't do what you said, what uncomfortable emotions might have come up for you, where did you use snacking or scrolling or procrastination as your get out of jail free card over the last season? That takes effort. So I think it's important that we are doing that deeper work on a regular basis, but I don't want you to think it's something you have to do all the time. So, step one of creating your reset process is to decide an interval. I recommend it be once per quarter or maybe even once per month. The next part of the reset process, if you want to think about September as the new January, is to really answer the question, did you achieve the goal that you set for yourself in the last 90 days? And if you didn't, I want to pause any self criticism, any discouragement, any despair, any embarrassment, any negative emotions that you might have about it, and instead put on the hat of a playful and curious scientist. Have a little bit of compassion for yourself. You're just a human. You're doing your best. With that hat on, with the hat of a scientist, if you are going to be really objective and get really curious, what got in your way? Did you actually set a goal for yourself, or were you in let's see how it goes energy? Be honest. Did you actually have decisive decisions, or were you in wing it energy? Did you use snacking and scrolling and procrastination to take a break from stress or to create your joy? Let's take responsibility. Identifying what those gaps are is going to help inform what changes you need to make in the upcoming quarter. Step 3, give yourself permission to let go of or change your goal. Step 3 is all about recommitting, refinding what it is that matters to you. If you could flash forward to January 1st of next year, if you could flash forward 90 days from now, 6 months from now, what result? I want you to imagine an in-hand result. It is something that you're living. What result for yourself would light you up? Is it weight loss? Is it strength training? Is it something in your personal life or in your professional life? What is it for you that would make you so happy that you did the work for? And I think it's important we start thinking about our goals in this way, not from I have to lose weight or I'm supposed to lose weight or I need to hit this goal or I need to get the promotion. You don't need to do any of it. Instead, I think it's way more valuable and it's way more effective to ask ourselves, what is the goal that would light me up? And why does that goal actually matter to me? When you think about your goals 90 days from now, if you think about January 1st of next year and you ask yourself, what goal would light me up? What goal matters to me? It will create the feeling of conviction. Creates a feeling of commitment. And it's that emotion. We don't need to feel motivated all the time. We don't have to feel like it all the time. We don't have to feel positive or believe in ourselves all the time. But what we do need to feel to take consistent action, to do the work when it feels uncomfortable, to follow through when it feels inconvenient, is a feeling of conviction and commitment that your goals matter to you. And this step 3, is one of the most overlooked steps for most overachieving women that I know. We lose sight of why we even want the thing. We might have set our sights on something once forever ago and we forget to revisit it. So step 3 is all about recommitting to your goal, or even deciding maybe this goal that you have is something you want to change. Maybe you have a different goal in mind that is something that would light you up. This is a step worth exploring. It's one that I want you to get honest with yourself about. I want you to feel safety in being honest and vulnerable with yourself. What is the goal that would light you up? What is the goal that matters to you? And really answering, why does it matter for you now? Step 4 in any reset is to let the past stay in the past. So one of the most common things that comes up is when you get excited about a goal, you might notice yourself holding back for a second. You hold back, you hesitate. And the only reason you'll hold back and hesitate, you won't take bold action or decisive action or really leaned in action, is because a tiny little part of your brain will have some thoughts like, but we didn't do it last time. Remember last time we failed? We didn't do what we said we were going to do. We gained it back last time. Because those thoughts are often very subconscious, you're not even aware that you're thinking them. Just think about how you feel, right? How you feel when you think, I didn't do it last time. I couldn't do it last time. I failed last time. You will probably have some feelings of doubt or some feelings of disbelief. And when you let doubt and disbelief just kind of run amok in the background, your action line will be to hesitate. So the think, feel, act cycle just shows us when you think, but I failed last time. I didn't figure it out before, but I didn't do what I said last time. And you feel doubt or disbelief. When you just let those thoughts and feelings drive you, you will hesitate. You won't take bold action. You'll hold back. You'll have more F it, screw it moments. You'll have a lot more justifications, a lot more 3C stories, convenient, convincing, and very compelling reasons to go off plan, to take a little meanders off the path. And when we stay in that think, feel, act cycle, we keep perpetuating our results. So step 4 is letting the past stay in the past. If you didn't hit your goal in the last 90 days or in the last 6 months, it's okay. When I say to give yourself permission to leave the past in the past, I don't mean to become complacent about it. Remember, we talked about step 1 and 2, where you identify what the gaps were and you took radical responsibility. Radical responsibility is owning in your heart what really got in the way. What was the mindset gap for you? What was the strategic gap for you? What got in the way, and really owning it? That is not complacent. What we're talking about in step 4, when I say let the past be in the past, is not toxic positivity. It's not brushing the past under the rug. It is letting the past go enough where you can give yourself a solid shot at moving forward. One of the reasons that I share my fails on this podcast as forthcomingly as I possibly can and share as many details with as much vulnerability as I possibly can is because I want to destigmatize failing. I want to destigmatize you not getting to your goal and how normal it is and how human it is of you. The biggest problem that we face is we let those fails and we let those imperfect seasons and imperfect moments drive how we show up today and tomorrow. And that is the work. The work is, if you failed in the past, or if you had a bad season, or if you undid a lot of your wins, to acknowledge that that's just sometimes how it goes. That's just sometimes the normal human way. If you can give yourself permission to learn, find your strategic gaps, take deep ownership, deep responsibility, find what was the mindset gap, what was the strategic gap that you needed to fill, take ownership of it, and then let it go. You don't have to sit with blame and judgment and criticism and embarrassment and disbelief. You can let it go. You will be able to focus all of your effort and your bandwidth on the only thing you can focus, which is how you show up today. Step 4, let the past go. Take ownership over the things you want to take ownership of. You can take ownership without blame, shame, or judgment, and then focus on the next thing, which is step 5, making decisive decisions and taking action today. One of the things that I think is really important for me, at least in a reset, because I do them every season, is I like to revisit some of the decisions that I made last season. I might have had a plan to eat in a certain way or have certain meals because we had a very different type of schedule over the summer than we will in the fall. As the weather changes, maybe the types of meals that I want to eat slightly changes as well. Maybe the dates and the times of the week that I was able to meal prep over the summer might be different than the fall. So step 5 is revisiting some of my actual strategy in how I want to meal prep and meal plan and make decisions for the family that's going to fit my new fall schedule. This is actually where most overachievers spend too much time. We actually spend too much time on the planning phase. I really want to encourage you for step 5, as you're revisiting some of your decisive decisions, set a timer for yourself. Don't let yourself get caught up with, all the color-coded new planner, new page calendars. I really encourage you to use your planning time as an opportunity to revisit some of your decisions, revisit when and how you want to set yourself up for success. When do you want to prep and meal plan? When do you want to fit in that walk for the day? When do you want to fit in the gym if that's a part of your success strategy? What does the map of your week look like? However, put constraints on how long you're going to spend in thinking about the plan and making the plan, because step 6 is all about taking that plan and putting it into action. Step 6 is the one that's the most uncomfortable. It's actually putting into action what you've said you're going to do. So if you could flash forward to January 1st of next year, or 90 days from now, or 6 months from now, I want you to imagine how good it's going to feel on that side of this tunnel, how it's going to feel on that side of the journey. What are you going to be telling yourself on a daily basis about your plan, about your goal, that will help you feel conviction to take action? The truth is, when you don't have the goal already in hand, when you haven't always hit the goal, when you've had the fails like I have, it's normal to have doubt and some nervousness. It's normal to maybe feel like you need to shirk away or hesitate. But this is where courage is such an important part of the process. Let yourself have the courage to feel uncomfortable. Let yourself have the courage to believe in yourself. Let yourself have the courage to change something, the courage to do something new, the courage to evolve and up level who you are and how you think about weight loss or hitting your next goal. I really think about this process, especially accessing courage to do new things and to do uncomfortable things, as one of the juiciest things I've ever done. And I think the biggest mistake I used to make was believing that courage should feel good. Like, when somebody says, oh, go be brave. Like, even when I tell my daughter, she had her first day of school today, I could tell she was a little nervous, as she is when she does something new for the first time. And it's easy to say and easy to kind of, as lip service, kind of tell a kid, like, let's practice being brave. Like brave sounds like a good thing. When you think about brave, when I see brave people, depicted online or depicted in a story or in a movie, there's something that feels amazing about it. But the truth is, the way that bravery or courage viscerally feels in your body probably won't feel so good. So I want to normalize if courage or bravery feels uncomfortable, then you're doing it right. Courage and bravery is not designed to feel good because you're leaving your comfort zone. You're leaving your status quo. To leave your status quo truly is an act of courage. I celebrate you if you're doing it, if you're choosing it, if you're here listening to the podcast and you're already doing the journey. But there is a difference between feeling courage, accessing your courage to do new things and push yourself in a new way, and confidence. I know we all want to feel confident first. I get you. If that's you, that's the overachiever in all of us. We love confidence because confidence feels really good, but you only earn confidence by working for it. You have to do these things first. You have to put the reps in, the bravery reps, the courageous reps, the failing reps, the getting it wrong reps, the learning reps, the owning and taking radical responsibility over all the misstep reps. You have to do all of that to earn self-confidence. At least that's what I think. So in a nutshell, to recap, if you want September to be your new January and you want to get a head start on next year, if you want to lose, I want you to imagine that you could lose 20 pounds by January 1st. You could be down on the scale, feeling better in your life, feeling better in your mind, in your soul, in your heart. Really think about the reset as an opportunity to learn from what came up for you this past season, to really find what were your mindset gaps. That's going to be number one. What were your strategic gaps? That's going to be number two. Take ownership and responsibility without shame, blame, or judgment, and then let it go. Let the past go. Give yourself permission to focus on just today and make decisive decisions. What and how do you want to plan for success in the next week, in the next month? What do you foresee coming up for you? How are you going to support yourself? I always recommend having a coach in your corner to help you. And of course, the Unstoppable group is here for you if that's something you're interested in. Our next cohort is going to be opening up in a few weeks. You can go get all those details over at burnstressloseweight.com/group. If you're at all interested in having my help, but really finding those gaps and filling them through the lens of a playful scientist is going to move the needle so far for you. And the last piece of today's entire podcast episode of September being the new January is letting yourself feel courage and bravery. And knowing if it doesn't feel so hot, if it doesn't feel good, if it feels uncomfortable, you're doing just fine. You're doing just fine. I hope you guys all have an amazing start to the school year. If you have kids going back to school, I hope that the transition, I know that it can be challenging at times. I have so many stories coming up for all of you in the next few weeks. I have so many podcast episodes that I cannot wait to record for you on so many of the lessons that I have been learning and taking away from both my summer and as we transition into fall. And I know that this is a big time of year, especially if you are a busy professional working mom. I wish you all the best in the fall season as your kids go off to school. If they're going off to college, if you have kids leaving for the first time, I can totally understand how the experience might feel for you. I'm here in your corner. And I hope that this podcast episode helps give you a shift in how you think about a reset without overutilizing it, really thinking about a reset as an opportunity to up level any result you want, especially if it pertains to you, how you feel, and your body. I'll see you guys all next week. Have an amazing day. Bye.